This is High Vibe TV, the uncensored, guided, and community-based video TV network with content recorded and live streamed from the world-famous High Vibe TV studios. High Vibe TV delivers daily, weekly, and special programs focused on astrology, spirituality, history, community, and more. This is not your run-of-the-mill astrology and tarot. This is the future of spirituality, illuminating new ways the collective can step into the dawning of this exciting new dimension. The highest vibe is truth, and the truth always prevails. Download our awesome app on the Apple and Android stores so you don't miss our notifications, with special spiritual insights curated to the energy of the universe. Search for us on your TV with our exciting TV apps on Apple TV and Roku. Catch our vibe on your computer, where you can join in on the live chat with our amazing community and blog. Watch spirituality like you've never seen before. Download our apps or go to highvibe.tv. Subscribe now.
I think that's time for after or overtime.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. What do you got?
Well, we've been talking so much about the space between spaces. We've been talking about this, and this is the ultimate space between spaces because Saturn now is in Pisces, but Pluto's still in Capricorn, but about to come into Aquarius, which we just did so much fucking Aquarius that there's only a 2-week moment here where there's no Aquarius.
Lucifer.
Right? So I feel like it's the moment for us to have our understanding of what to prepare for the most. Would you agree?
Yeah. Yeah. It's weird. And then the weirdest sign, right? Aquarius is open for that 2 weeks before it gets a taste of Pluto. Because remember, Saturn's not coming back. Saturn's done. So Pluto's going to dip his toes in, see what the water bear feels like, and dip back into Capricorn. Not even for the final time. It's going to do that one more time next year. So yeah, it's weird. It's in between. We're like getting little bits and pieces kind of quantumly dropped to us in weird ways. And it's going to be interesting from really like what it's 2 a.m. on the West Coast. So we have 2 hours and 40 minutes. Or no, we have 3 hours.
3 hours and 30, yeah.
And 30 minutes until Saturn comes into Pisces, and it'll be vacant. And we haven't had a vacant Aquarius in a very long time.
No.
So
a long time.
So
decades.
I think it'll be nice though. It's going to warm things up because Aquarius is cold, and I don't know. It can be very detached. So I think that these next couple weeks actually might be very nice. We might there's a lot of fire in the chart. There's a lot of water. There's, not that much grounding us, Uranus, North Node, Pluto, but at the same time, maybe we don't need to be super grounded right now. Maybe we do need to be more ethereal, more in our hearts. Let things flow, let things just come, let the wind blow to us, whatever needs to be acknowledged in this moment instead of trying to figure out the quantum entanglement that we're all a part of.
Yeah, and I think Jupiter semi-square Saturn, which both met in Aquarius at 0 degree where Pluto's about to come in the 2 weeks that we're in. So it's like, it's a nice break, but it's also not a break. It's like, what were you doing December 21st, 2020? Because that Pluto is going to uncover that spot big and also launch that Jupiter Saturn big. And it's like, that's what I think is weird is Jupiter in Aries, but Saturn in Pisces is saying, hold up, ego. And that's what might be, I think, where the grounding might help with the North Node and Taurus is we want to understand the values and not just jump without realizing, Jupiter and Saturn are in semi-square. It's saying, expand a little, but not too much. Keep the hose kinked. Don't put it on full blast because there's no fucking hose bib and it might just fucking start, and especially this is a moment with Pluto at 29 Capricorn to stay on the path that's the best for you in the long, long term and not think that it's already been found or it's changed. Like, even though Saturn, right? So Pluto is in Capricorn and the dispositor is in Pisces. So that's going to be a very big test. Because even like, if you think about it, Pluto is like, okay, I'm in Capricorn and now the dispositor is in Pisces. So it's like, well, maybe I'll give up. I'm right before the end of the hill. I'm going to give up. So it's one of those moments to where I think it's enjoy the moment, pay attention, be an observer, but I wouldn't make any big new choices without knowing the stench, which could smell good or not, the feeling, the oddness that's coming in, that's going to change the way we feel in 2 weeks alone. So it's one of those moments where it's like, it's a 2-week window of, okay, it could be this, but I wouldn't gamble on it. And I also wouldn't, I mean, it's going to be weird because Pluto does, retrograde back into Capricorn this year. So Aquarius is going to be empty multiple times this year too, with Saturn and Pisces. This is the first moment of that, to understand there's going to be more moments like this. And I think it's the whole year into next year, by November of 2024, that all these periods when Saturn's in Pisces and Pluto's in Capricorn, that's going to take some time to figure out what it means, opposed to, I know it now and I'm going with it and I'm fucking taking a huge gamble because, Pluto wants to invest on a fuck it, all on red, all on fucking, black, or all on green. And the roulette wheel you think is going your way. And then, nope, beep, beep. There's too many unpredictable things that are going to come on the other side. And I think it's a moment for us to use our intuition and use that understanding that we don't want to fucking get off the trail that Pluto is starting to believe right before the finish line. And that's going to be the hard part with Pluto retrograding back into Capricorn with Saturn and Pisces the whole time, is the dispositor has changed signs into Pisces. And then Saturn is no longer, when it looks at it's a dispositor, it's like, well, shit, fucking, I'm in fucking Neptune's world now. I'm not in my own home. So, this is easy to self-undo at this time and think it's the bomb. When really, Pluto's going to come into Aquarius, and then that changes it to Uranus and Taurus and be like, were you building for the future and connecting, or were you fucking lost in some neurotic, psychotic thing that I'm here to disrupt?
Yeah. Yeah, I think that the focus is shifting to a more spiritual groundedness. There's almost been a hyper focus. I keep saying that word tonight, like hyper fixation, but there has been on this future. It's like we, your Aquarius, Uranus energy gets us like, ooh, the future. And a lot of the times that sort of premonition type energy comes to fruition, but not always in the time that you think it will. And now Saturn's out of time, if you will, in Pisces, the planet of time. So it's almost like just be here. Just find security in where you're at now without doing some radical, because I think of the South Node in Scorpio at the same time. Like, do we really need to go for some intense dopamine hit of some radical destruction in our lives? Or are we just meant to really chill? And I don't mean like chill, like not do anything, but just let the universe bring, be receptive. Water's very receptive, right? So we have to be receptive to what's trying to take us to the next step without thinking that we just intellectually know it. Mars is still in shadow. It's square Neptune. We don't know shit. Jupiter's semi-square Saturn. Jupiter's with Chiron. The more we think we just know and we're so invested in what our ego thinks it knows, the less we're paying attention to our soul, the less receptive we are, and the more we're just trying to, cause some kind of destruction, just almost cause it. When I think that, maybe there is already a plan set that we did see a future for, but maybe that future isn't meant to just happen right when we want it. So that's also a full moon in Virgo, right? How, gotta have the perfect time and situation for this to happen in my reality. It's just not that. I suppose is where I'm at with it right now.
Yeah, and I think you're right. It's like there's a chill, but not a chill, because it reminds me of being on an iceberg and then thinking it's safe and secure with Saturn there, but starts breaking apart, and it's an icebreaker, like the game Icebreaker. Ah! You chill too long, it's too sloppy. Ah! Like there's so there's like really a big cleanup happening, which that's the weird part, which it's so backdated and backlogged that we have to start paying attention to subconscious things that are backlogged super far back. I mean, it's been 500 years since we had Saturn, Neptune, and Pisces together. Exactly 500 years. So it's one of those things to where, like, I think you said it good. Like, whatever, with Chiron, Jupiter, and Aries, semi-square Saturn, there's definitely, like, don't believe that you think you know it, that you've identified it, and that's what it is, and you're going all the way. Be prepared for allowing yourself to understand, well, how would I fuck this up and self-sabotage it? Am I self-sabotaging myself by believing in something? It's going to put a lot of situations that have been hidden and that we haven't looked at and realize they're sloppy. Saturn in Pisces is psychedelic in many ways. It looks like a bedroom after you did like 8 fucking doses of fucking, acid for like 2 days straight. That's Saturn in Pisces. Where you're like, what? It looks like, if you ever watched fucking, Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas, it looks like their hotel room. That's Saturn in Pisces with Neptune in Pisces. And then Mercury's in Pisces, which for this 2 weeks, ironically, it's in there. And it's going to conjunct with Neptune. It's going to have that, it's going to conjunct the sun. It's going to be fucking on the other side of Earth. And we ain't able to see what we need to be like paying attention to. I think what we can't see. Aquarius isn't here to help us have a satellite view. We lose the satellite. And then also I think it's going to be a really subconscious moment here of like, were we doing this to please other people, or doing this to do it for society or other people, or what, or what I was relying on the other person about? It's going to bring up all that shit. It's going to bring up a lot of weird shit. I see people in the chat being like, oh, when are tough times going away? Remember, the times will never be like they were ever again. So what you think is positive in the past and now you think is negative, maybe negative is positive now. Maybe you have to find a way to find positive in this new energy. It's not ever going back to what your idealistic understanding of joy and positivity is. You have to learn to adapt, which is the hardest sign. Mutable water, adapt. Pisces. You have to learn to adapt to the world. And adaptation is by your subconscious tendency of wanting to hold on to the past. No, I want it to look like the past looked. In the past, it used to look this way. It used to feel this way. So I'm going to make my life feel this way. Also programmed. Well, this is the best thing to do because this is what feels the right way to do. No. It also felt good for a Roman to kill Jesus on the cross.
I think on like a bright side, it is a time for us to all mature spiritually, right? But that, comes with putting effort into letting the divine steer the ship. We kind of have to take our hands off the wheel at moments to see where things are going and to have faith. We can almost be afraid of our faith and our surrender with Saturn here, but that's really what you need to do. Every time you get to that moment where you want to get so focused and it has to be this way and this isn't what I wanted it to look like this, and we go into these nostalgic moments, we're taking ourselves away from this natural flow. And it takes like that spiritual maturity to have that strong faith so that you can let go and let God take the wheel, steer it to where it needs to go. It's going to go where it needs to go. It just feels like, there's these karmic lessons that we get looped into. And if you have that spiritual maturity, which we'll learn throughout the next 3 years more and more, all of us, we'll be able to listen to that and not ignore that calling because of some societal distraction or some kind of a program that we've all had to deal with. This is like trying to, God's trying to say, break the programs. There's infinite ways to commit yourself, to create, but we have to also commit to taking such a strict judgment of every little thing out of the equation too. So it is a mixed bag, but the spiritual maturity that I think the collective will go through, or not everybody, but a lot of people, some people are going to go into deep 12th house where you don't want to go. Very mental anxiety energy, if you will, lost, delusional, schizophrenic, all these different things. But many will really listen to that inner authority that's trying to say, hey, you need to change this. You need to adapt to this. And I think when we do and we step up and we step up to that plate when that calling comes, I think we have a ton of support and everything's going to be fine, Sure, the world's going to look weird. I have no doubt that we see some of the weirdest shit we've ever seen with Saturn in Pisces. And even meeting with Neptune and coming into Aries at the end of the transit, but we're just getting started. But that doesn't mean it can't be beautiful. It's just, is it going to be the dream that you dreamt up this dream? Is that what it's going to be? Or is it going to be what God decided is the dream that you're going to live out? And can you be open and receptive to that without beating your head up against a wall because it's not what you wanted?
Yeah. I mean, if you think about Pisces, it deals with separation in order to get to connection, especially with Neptune and Pisces. And in 1523, it was everything from banning heretics from assembling in Holland. It was also the anti-French treaties that were signed in England with the Emperor Charles I, which was English occupying France and trying to say that let's start this anti-French energy. Let's start this. If you're a heretic and you believe in anything but the Christian Catholic version of Jesus, you're a heretic and you're not allowed to assemble. So it creates extremes of separation. And I think that's what's funny about Aquarius, right? You feel like, we're together. And then Pisces comes and it's like, either you do the spiritual thing and stay with that, or you fall into your subconscious and, but you know what? Yeah, fuck that. I'm over that, and start to fall into the, it's addictions, it's loops, it's patterns. And so, it's just festering now with subconscious choices that you've made that you're going to have to face that are not easy to face. And it creates people becoming weak by holding on the line of their subconscious bullshit. Like, I'm going to keep doubling down because I want to make it work.
Yeah, and then we turn into a martyr over that situation.
Yeah. It reminds me of being in a horrible place in your life and thinking, well, I'm also a drug addict. I'm just going to keep doing drugs and it'll eventually turn good.
I made my bed. I'll just lay in it.
Yeah, it's like learning to be like, I am not, these are choices that are going to be filled with regrets for some. And we have to remember that they teach us lessons. So, but I think, at the end of the day, it's Aquarius's biggest lesson laid tracks, laid Jupiter, laid all these huge conjunctions. And even the biggest stellium we ever saw back in the 60s. Here comes Pluto. So, I don't think we understand humanity. I don't think we understand people. I don't think we understand what the real connecting points are. And I feel like the separation of events that are about to happen in Saturn, Neptune, and Pisces are going to create a global catastrophe. And they're going to create people having to find how to connect in the most hardest ways, because it's the only way for humanity to find itself and to prepare for that over the next 2 weeks.
Very possible. But will that suck? You know, that's what I wonder.
Well, yeah, I mean,
I guess it's all perspective.
yeah, it's perspective, right? I mean, for most people, when the mailman stops coming, you're like, well, I don't really care about the mail. It's like, well, when the Amazon trucks stop driving to you, and when the systems are not going to collapse, let's just say the systems are going to be sloppy to the point to where they're so sloppy they don't run efficiently. So your reliance right now on your doubling down and your subconscious tendency will be here to remove in your life what's not good for you. So you're like, God, I rely on this, even though maybe it's not good. That system's falling apart in a way of becoming sloppy. And you could keep doubling down to try and, okay, I'm fucking navigating it. I'm swishing through this. I'm swishing through that. And fuck. And that's where we start flying into that weird abyss. You know, Pisces is the abyss to where we get too wide. We get too lost. We get too visionary. Saturn's here to say, okay, the vision's great, but can it become real? And the reality check on the vision. So dreams are wonderful, but if you don't know how to master your dreams,
yeah, you gotta come back to reality.
Yeah, especially like drugs. Like, let's be real. I mean, are they even drugs anymore? You know what I mean? They're not the same.
No idea.
You know, the fact that Canada just allowed, just this last week, the government is allowing this one company for other doctors in other places to produce cocaine, to produce pretty much every drug, ecstasy, all that, right? Like, it's almost like they're getting ready to try and putting out drugs into the populace to just, they're not watching TV anymore. They're not watching this anymore, to let them have everything that stoops them down, but also in a weird way might make them up. But are you sure that the government would actually give you the real shit? So we're going to have to pay attention to what looks too good to be true and realize it's not, right? You have to be willing to be okay with, this is good, but it's not too good to be true fully. And like, let me know, because there's no detachment that can help. It's much more about 12th house shit, removing oneself through accepting what it is. Like, okay, like I have to let go, and it's a process of, you know, like a breakup, right? It's not like, I'm out, bye. It's like, fuck, I got to go through the emotional shit. I got to go through this. I got to move out. I got to do that. I got to do this. I got to do that. It's not easy. But the faster that you deal with it, but it's not a fast thing. Everything now about removing oneself from something is not fast. It's not as easy. So everything starts to kind of get sloppy.
I don't have the dates on this, but I'm pretty sure the MK Ultra experiments in the beginning came out with Saturn and Pisces. Do you know when those started? Was that late 60s?
Yeah, that was the time when LSD actually was being used, even though it was discovered by Alfred Hoffman and created in the late 30s into the early 40s. It was not used, not only, of course, Timothy Leary, who brought it out as being the head of psychiatry and psychology at Harvard, but it was also the CIA that was quite new and developed. Like, it wasn't like an old system, but that was Saturn and Pisces with Pluto and Uranus in opposition and Virgo. So it was also how to crowd control. And also the first test they did on MK Ultra, believe it or not, before they created MK Ultra, was they took acid in the sky and they took a bunch of troops and they sprinkled it in the clouds and they dropped acid on people.
Right. Nobody fought.
And nobody fought, and they started playing with flowers. Some people had panic attacks, whatever. But it totally disrupted the whole entire people.
Yeah.
But you have to remember, with all the warfare going on, Saturn and Neptune is what you can't see, right? It's what's creeping up behind you. Like the balloon was kind of like a weird thing, but that's very Aquarian, the way that it's like, you know, Pisces is what you don't see. It's what you're being programmed into, what you're being kind of fed into, you know, again, and I think religion's going to be the page that's delivering the war message, and it's becoming a religious war. And it's also going to be based upon end times and the end, the revelations, the Antichrist, the and every religion, the third temple, the fucking Allah's returning, and you're going to paradise or you're going not. And really, it's purgatory. You know, people getting trapped into places and also waiting for the Savior. Instead of realizing it's not about saving yourself, it's the connection you have with the divine and God yourself. Like, it's not about, you're not saved unless you have a connection. And it's not that you get saved, it's just that connection is there. It's like the idea that you need to be saved,
right,
is the biggest, like, Piscean trap of all time. Like, it's quicksand too. One of the weirdest things about quicksand is you don't move. You let it go, but you need somebody to come to kind of pull you out. If you move around, you sink quick. So in Pisces, it's where we all feel like we're in quicksand, especially Saturn, Neptune, right? It's like, I want control, but if you try and have too much control and you move around, you're going to go, then you don't have a straw on you probably to survive with air. So you don't want to try and control everything, and you don't want to try and everything's going to be to where, especially because, geez, this full moon's coming in and Virgo with it, and the fact that this is all opposing Virgo, reality, schedules, timing, perfection, workability, systems working with Pluto and Capricorn leaving, all getting thrown up in the air. The bicycle chains breaking, the factory breaks, the fucking oil spills more, the toxicity becomes more extreme. It's where there's gaps in the system that are the last gap nobody wants to deal with. It's that bag of trash you haven't taken out that's been in your closet for fucking 3 years. That's just not food, but, you know, bunch of weird shit because you got a little lazy, you were going to overdo it, and you threw it in the corner and it looks good. It's all that shit coming up. It's all your emotional repressed issues, like that you've repressed, that you've suppressed so deeply and you're aware of, and then you forgot, so it's repressed now. And it's like, well, that's why I'm in this moment in my life, because I never dealt with this. So you don't want to make decisions based off those that you haven't faced. You got to face it before you can make the choice and make sure that you get through. Because Saturn and Neptune won't meet in Pisces, they're meeting in Aries, so that's the trippiest part. They won't meet here in Pisces. They're going to chase each other. Their Saturn's going to chase it down and then come into its fall position in Aries and Neptune and talk about civil war. That happened with Saturn, right? Not being in Aries, but it was Neptune. But now, holy shit, the redefining of this universe has to have 3 years of backlog of suppressed shit and repressed shit and everybody's spiritual idea. I used examples tonight like, geez, people are like, oh yeah, I'm spiritual because I'm doing something in Bali. It's like, well, they're banning people from having sex based off religious aspects. You really are spiritual by having people have to be like, I can't express myself a certain way? Or, you know, you're seeing it on the right and the left, both use witchcraft and all that shit as spirituality is witchcraft now. And religious orders are becoming extreme, and people are becoming religiously extreme, and it doesn't matter what side of the aisle they're on. They're all tripping out, and they all believe the book is telling them what to do, even though Constantine fucking is the one who just wanted to just not do what his mom did, which was paganism. So anything pagan is pagan, and it's bad. And the Jews had problems with Rome, so guess what? All the things that were Roman, like Zeus is the loincloth that he wears, that Zeus wears, is the Antichrist, right? Mm. But you'll never think of it from the other side. We never hear about that because our Western tradition's been all Judeo-Christian based. So it's like, Okay, the Romans were telling the Jews to do this. They were out of a bunch of power and control, but we don't hear what the Jews were doing on the other side, right? And I'm not talking about the Jews of today. We're talking about the original, right, place where Jews were, right? They weren't following the pagan gods, right? So they felt like there was an atrocity to them there, right? And so like they write in all their stories that, anything that's Zeus is the return of, if you were to really think of it, just the return of paganism would be the return of the Rome that would make us all bad. But it's like, they don't really understand all that. We never get to hear the other side. What were they doing to the fucking Romans, And of course, it makes Rome and paganism look so bad because Jesus died on the cross by Romans and da-da-da-da. But you never hear the other side. You never hear the other things. You never see the good things, and anything attached to it is bad. Which, of course, it is the fucking pharaohs in Egypt that Rome, Cleopatra's the last one, the last pharaoh. She marries into Rome. Boom. Egypt becomes Rome. They take so much of that understanding. And so there's so much integration in all the religions and all the aspects. But everybody's going to be all secular and be like, no, this is the version. Anybody telling you, you have to do it this way, Jesus is that, they're on fucking crack because they've never done the research. They don't even understand the history, and they only take it from one point of view and they can't see the other side. Pisces gets lost in underwater or above, and you need to do both. You need to be in unconscious and conscious moments constantly to understand the whole picture. And so you have to be honest with yourself and be like, when I'm feeling off or something's feeling weird, okay, let me be aware of it instead of I'll push it under the rug and it'll be okay. That's the scary part is, it'll be all right. It's like, no, well, you're already in the quicksand.
Yeah, it's we don't want to be too naive.
Oh yeah, I would say naive at all, because naive is a drug that's gonna be fucking popped out everywhere. Oh, you're fine. Everything's fine. Aquarius is choosing you to learn the people who call you out on your shit, not, oh yeah, let me let you be naive and watch it happen. So our way forward is Jupiter, Saturn, and Aquarius, and that's what Pluto's going to activate. So it's a big thing, and it's a deep understanding of how to really make it through this understanding in life, and it's where Saturn's going to get really lost here. Neptune's ruling, and we got really lost in the 1523. That was when Henry VIII at the same time was like, you know what? I shouldn't have married my fucking brother's ex-wife when he died. And I only did it when my dad died in 1509. I want an annulment now, but the church won't let me. These are the situations people are going to be like, what the fuck did I do? And I can't get out? Shit. Well, I guess I got to let go of the whole church and I got to start my own in order to fucking marry who I want to, and that took 10 years for him. So. Coming into this, you better know what the fuck you're coming into, because it's not an easy out. There's no more easy outs in this reality. That's gone. Doesn't exist. Doesn't exist. There is no exit. There's no emergency exits. And it's going to feel like we're all trapped. Don't forget that. We're going to feel trapped. Not a lot of exits, not a lot of options, not a lot of travel, not a lot of this. It's going to get too sloppy. They're not even making new planes anymore unless they're military. They stopped making planes. There's no more Airbuses being made. There's no more Boeings being made. Right? They want to go to green energy. Where's the system in life that you thought was from before the last 6 years? Because that was a long Saturn Pluto that just ended, and now it's the beginning to see what they set in motion. Those plans are going into motion, whether we like it or not. I'm not saying they're going to not fail, but they're definitely going to be implemented, and we're going to have to walk, there's going to be a trap feeling for a long time. We're not getting out of the trap. So, financially wise, I think it's crazy. In the next 2 weeks, especially this week, the Fed's raising the rates, and they're talking about now. All the news in the last 2 days has been Feds better raise it higher, and they better hold it, and they better do it the highest they've ever done, or we're all fucked, or we're going to have a 1933 situation. So they are going to pummel the economy on purpose and to bring prices down. And are you prepared? This is such a Pisces moment. I wasn't thinking it would go this way. I mean, I thought I had more time. And Aquarius is like, what do you mean? I showed you all the fucking dots. Like, you didn't put it together? So, boy, oh boy, it's been nuts, especially with these eclipses.
Yeah, I was going to say, I think the solar eclipse is, the lunar eclipse in Scorpio is the one. I was watching this weekend. I had like a little bit of insomnia last night, couldn't sleep. And I was on HBO Go, and The Weeknd had put out Live in LA on HBO Go. And I was like, I got to see what was going on with this. I know there's going to be something here. There was some foreshadowing going on. I just know it. So I turn it on, and sure enough, the intro to it starts out, and it's like this destroyed city. And his whole backdrop on that set was like a destroyed city, from whatever it was, war. I don't know, but, city's just kind of torn down. But the crazy part was there was this moon opposite the stage, this giant moon prop. And it was pretty much glowing red majority of that show. Every now and then when the whole, set colors would change, it would go to a different color. But it was red 90% of the time, which I thought was very interesting because it was a full moon and it was a red blood moon. And I feel like there was some foreshadowing in where they dropped that, how they just put that out for the public. There's foreshadowing for the solar eclipse. I'm sorry, I keep saying solar. The lunar eclipse in Scorpio that will be, that's just where something crazy is about to go down. And you were talking about the coronation, of course. It's going down on that lunar eclipse. And yeah.
Don't watch it.
Don't watch what?
The coronation.
Oh, I won't.
It's a spell that they're going to do on the world. Like The Weeknd does his spells.
Yeah, 100%.
But this is the real deal because you have to realize that now the Prince Charles of Wales is now the King Charles III, right? And what's interesting is his lines go to like every fucking line. It's really crazy. But the most important part is that we've never seen an anointing public that they're going to put on TV. And he's going to be in military uniform. Hitler always wore a military uniform. You know who's in control of all of the UN Security Council and all their fucking shit, right? And who's been dealing with all these different shit around the world. He's even been called the savior, right? Is Charles. Charles has been in everything. He's been at all the G20s. He's always the first speaker. He's been at this. He's been at that. They've been setting this fool up forever. Don't watch it because they're going to literally anoint in non-sacred way this military power to him. And I wouldn't be surprised if the craziness of the EU, if it decides to join the English monarch. The people are thinking, look, if Brexit was so bad, you're going to see the EU be like, God, we want to be part of the monarchy. I'm not saying that's going to happen right away, but I'm saying that that's what it's leading towards, and the way they've been pumping the fucking monarchy to people. Reliance on the monarchy, the war, the Ukraine shit. Like, people don't realize this shit's going to get fucking weird. So, don't watch it. That's like the one thing. It's like, if the Ark of the Covenant opens up, right? You don't look at it like Indiana Jones said. Your soul will be taken. The same way they're trying to do that with Charles and his thing. So don't watch it. Don't look at it ever. It's the most horrible moment that's ever going to happen in reality spiritually. They're going to do a fucking spell physically with the crown and the anointing process in a military uniform. So if you don't want to die in that war, I wouldn't watch it. By just being a bystander or however, you know what I mean? Like you don't realize the depth of all this shit. And you know, we're going to feel like we have no way out. That's Saturn and Neptune and Pisces. But there is a way out, and it's patience, and it's trust in the divine, and it's going to look so crazy and sloppy, and you're going to have to find ways to really be like, did I make smart choices coming into these times? Did I really make the smartest choice? You know, do I know how to provide for myself? Do I know how to get where I need to go? Do I have the things that I need? That's what North Node and Taurus has been providing for us to make sure we have. Like, do you have the ability to create and make the shit that you need to have? Do you have the things that you need to make it through? Like, I was fucking not waxing, but wiping off my trucks. And I was like, thank God I got my trucks. Thank God I got gasoline. Thank God I got all these things, because this is going to feel trapped. And the reason why they're knocking the economy out is so everybody feels trapped. You can't get this. Discover card next month. If you buy a gun, they're going to report it. I mean, like everything. And think about the way that the new financial system was working. Yeah, you didn't do this. You can't get gas. Well, you could have when the North Node was in Taurus. You could have been preparing. And it doesn't matter where you're at, because look at all the satellites now and all the new Starlinks that just got put up and everything. They have access, and look at the balloons they got. And how funny, they do it over the territory that doesn't have a lot of people, because they're also mapping the ground of who's in where. And they don't care about the cities, because they're looking for the people. Oh, I'm safe on my property up here in the middle of nowhere. No, that's exactly where they want to plant their shit. That's exactly where they are going to want to go. So there's nowhere to run away to or hide, you know. Especially World War III, World War II, though. Transit's all hitting now. So I would use this next 2 weeks to be focused on preparation to where you don't feel so stuck. Make sure you understand what you're doing, that you won't feel like, shit, this is going to take me forever to get out of it. This is the last thing I want to do. You know, you want to make sure that you're on the most up and up spiritually in every place, relationship, situation, period. Because it's not going to be a place that's going to be easy to just retract and go, oh yeah, hold on. You know, like Aquarius, you can make a U-turn and come right back. You can't. It's a dead end, the Pisces. So I would say the next 2 weeks is the most important 2 weeks of your whole entire life. And be aware and not be subconsciously just into the, oh yeah, hey. And they're going to pump it and make it feel like it's okay, even though we're taking this down, the Fed's raising the rate, and then the war's like, you know, getting bad, and boom! You know, trap! Traps are out. And we're in the year of the rabbit, where it's easy to trap a little rabbit. So that's my last take.
Yeah, traps are out.
This is High Vibe TV, the uncensored, guided, and community-based video TV network with content recorded and live streamed from the world-famous High Vibe TV studios. High Vibe TV delivers daily, weekly, and special programs focused on astrology, spirituality, history, community, and more. This is not your run-of-the-mill astrology and tarot. This is the future of spirituality, illuminating new ways the collective can step into the dawning of this exciting new dimension. The highest vibe is truth, and the truth always prevails. Download our awesome app on the Apple and Android stores so you don't miss our notifications, with special spiritual insights curated to the energy of the universe. Search for us on your TV with our exciting TV apps on Apple TV and Roku. Catch our vibe on your computer, where you can join in on the live chat with our amazing community and blog. Watch spirituality like you've never seen before. Download our apps or go to highvibe.tv. Subscribe now.